You're not afraid to make a decision. You're afraid to make the wrong decision, right? Think back the last time you needed to make a really big decision. Did you feel paralyzed after thinking about all the pros and cons, all the people who might be impacted by this decision? Did you just feel like it took you forever? For days and days and days, you were kind of thinking, which way should I go? I don't even know. I don't feel one way or another, or maybe you do, but don't feel like other people would accept you deciding in that way. Did you just get to a point where you're like, you decide for me. I can't do this. I can't handle this. This is too big. I'm afraid of messing up my life. Or were you even just like afraid to like make a decision, right? Sometimes we feel like, ooh, I can make this decision. I know exactly what I want. And then you make the decision and you're like happy for like, I don't know, an hour or two, maybe a day. And then you're like, did I make the wrong decision? I made the wrong decision. What if I made the wrong decision? And then you want to hop over. Sometimes you even do. You hop over onto the other decision. You're like, okay, good. Whew, man, that was like a close one. I just caught myself in time. Now I'm in the right boat. And then a day later, you're like, what have I done? I should have just stuck with my first decision. First instinct is always the best, right? Going back and forth. And when it's just you involved, that might still work. When there are other people involved, you start to feel like a flake, right? You start to feel like you don't have it together. You start to feel judged by other people for being this whimsical being who can't make up her mind. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Reclaim Your Power as an HSP, as a highly sensitive person. This is the perfect episode for you if you are in the process of making a big decision or you've come across it in the past where it's just been difficult and you're curious to learn some ways, 5 really awesome steps in making a decision more confidently. This has helped me so much over the years, just little things that I have put together for myself whenever I need to make a big decision. But first, we'll talk about why it is more challenging as a highly sensitive to make a decision, and then we'll get into those 5 steps, okay? So why is it so hard, or, just a bit harder, as a highly sensitive to make decisions? There are actual, real psychological and neurological reasons why it is a bit more challenging for us highly sensitive people. Number 1, we process deeply, right? That's like one of the staple characteristics of a highly sensitive. Well, imagine processing deeply when it comes to making a big decision, right? We don't just simply go, which one should I choose? No, we think about all the things involved, right? Who is involved? What is the impact going to be? What is the long-term outcome going to be? How am I going to feel about this decision, right? What is like the emotional impact this is going to have on me, on my life? How big is this going to be? Who is going to be affected by it? Is there a possibility that I might regret this decision later? And then can I live with that regret? How will others judge me? How will others think of me by making a certain decision in a certain way, right? All these things and more. We think about everything from all the angles. Number 2, we have a strong awareness of the consequences, right? We don't just think about consequences, right? Because everybody thinks about consequences. Hopefully, maybe there's some people who don't, but we don't just think of consequences. We see massive pictures in our heads, right? We feel into it. We're like, oh my gosh, there's us careening towards, flying over a cliff, right? We have huge pictures with it. We have big emotions with it when we think about the consequences of our decision. Why is that? because our highly sensitive nervous system is finely tuned to risk, to potential conflict, and to future emotional impact. So therefore, even small decisions feel like they're high risk, right? Decisions that might not be a big thing for other people, like, hey, should I go out Friday night or not? And for us, it's like, what all do I have going on this week? Am I going to be overstimulated by the time I get there? Where are we going? Have I been there before? Who am I going there with? You know, it's like we think of all these things. Number 3, overstimulation overloads our decision-making circuits, right? By seeing so many options, so many potentials, we can get more easily overstimulated. Remember, as a highly sensitive, we have a lower threshold, even though at some point everybody gets overstimulated, right? And also depending on what you have going on in your life currently. Remember when you feel that way, like, I cannot handle one more thing on my plate right now, right? You have so many things going on, and then your cat vomits, and you're going, oh my God, is this just a hairball? Is there something really wrong? Do I need to cancel my entire day today? What if I need to take her to the vet? What if this is going to cost a whole bunch of money, right? It's like we immediately go into like, I can't handle one more thing because I'm already so overstimulated. My plate is already so full. And then, of course, if you are in a state of overwhelm, of overstimulation, how good are you going to be at making a decision? No, nobody can make a decision when you're overstimulated and overwhelmed. We don't have any clarity at that time. We can't think, right? We can't process. We're overstimulated. Everything is going shut down mode. We need to chill. We need to recuperate. We need to replenish, and then we can make a decision. Number 4, high empathy creates people impact considerations, right? We are empathetic beings. We are so highly empathetic. We feel everything that other people feel. We feel for other people. When somebody is going through something really hard, we physically feel it unless we learn how to separate ourselves, unless we have some tools to set some boundaries, right? Even just to like work with your energetic field, but we feel it. And so when we are trying to make a decision, we consider, oh my gosh, how is this going to feel? How is it going to feel when I feel the impact my decision has on other people, right? Is there somebody who's going to be really disappointed with me? Is there somebody who's going to be feeling rejected by this decision that I made, right? As highly sensitives, we often subconsciously or unconsciously prioritize harmony over everything else. I remember having to choose between 2 guys, right? I'm going out with a guy. I think at that point it was actually, we had been together for a while, broke up. I started dating a new guy, and then the old guy my ex started coming back. And then, you know, there's always like, oh, memories and beautiful things. And you're like, oh, should I go back to him? Should I stay with this new guy? This new guy I don't know that well yet. We have some harmony, but it really got down to me feeling who would be less disappointed, who would be less crushed, who would be in less pain if depending on whom I chose, right? And it sounds ludicrous when you're in a good state to think of making an important decision like, who do I want to be with, based upon who is going to be hurt less. Let me know in the comments, have you ever felt that way, of like later when you look back on that thought process, you're going, what? But in the moment, it seems so logical. Ooh, I'll give you another example. It might not be totally about decision making, but in a way it is. I remember even as young as like 7, 8, 9, when there was any kind of game that was competitive, I had a hard time. Well, I didn't want to lose because then I would feel bad about myself, right? We're quite perfectionistic. We demand a lot of ourselves. But a lot of times I also didn't want to win, because then, especially if it's just two people, like the last two in a game or something, I didn't want to win because then I would feel bad for the person who lost, right? I could feel their disappointment in having lost, and I didn't want to take that joy away from this person, right? Let me know if you've ever felt that, like not purposely not wanting to win because you didn't want to feel the disappointment from the other person. Which brings us right into number 5, and the last reason I'm going to give you today of why it's a bit more difficult as a highly sensitive to make a decision. Perfectionism and the fear of regret. Oof, that was always a big one for me, regretting my decision. What have I done, right? By now, I'm always like bracing myself, and I'll give you like, oh, you gotta stay till the end, because I give you my super secret tip of how to kind of get out ahead of regret, right? But man, I would like fear this moment of like, there's gonna be an oh shit moment. Like, oh shit, what did I do? Why did I decide this, right? Because when we're making a decision, when we're in a good state, in an excited state, in a passionate state, in a yes, I can do this, I'm gonna like full force ahead kind of state. Yes, we're gonna go. Inevitably, we're gonna be in a state of overwhelm, overstimulation. You're just waking up, you're just not in a great mood, you're feeling kind of down, you're feeling kind of weak, your body's not feeling good today, whatever it might be. And you're in this decision that you got yourself into, and you were like, yeah, charge, let's do this. And you're like, what was I thinking? All I want to do is rest and recuperate. I didn't want to be full speed ahead today. So you gotta build in for days like that. You gotta anticipate that oh shit moment. What did I just do, right? Whew. I hope this gave you a little bit of a glimpse, and I wanted to start this video or this podcast with these explanations of why it can feel a bit more challenging. Like if you have friends or siblings or whoever it might be, peers, who you think, man, they have such an easy time making decisions. They just make a decision, right? Something big, just make a decision. You're like, oh, I wish I could be that bold and that brave, and you totally can be, but don't beat yourself up in those moments where you're feeling this is really hard. This is really challenging. This is a really big decision, and I don't want to mess this up. We do have great qualities as highly sensitives, and it serves us so well to pause and really think about these decisions. So now I'm going to give you the 5 most important, the 5 most incredible, the 5 most impactful things that I have kind of pieced together for myself when I need to make a big decision. Number 1, what state are you in? Now, I'm not talking about Texas or California. I am talking about your emotional state, right? You can't make a decision in overwhelm. You can't make a decision out of fear and anxiety, which is a tough one, because sometimes you got to make a decision quick and you might not be in the like most amazing go-getter kind of mood. But for that, download this free guide that I have put together for you. Emotions are so important, and they're so telltale, and it's one of the most vital things you can learn, especially as a highly sensitive, is how to shift your emotions on demand, how to be in charge, how to be in the driver's seat, how to choose how you want to feel in this moment. It is possible. It's 3 quick, easy steps. I put them together for you in a way that you can absolutely take them in, make them your own, apply them, and be able to switch your mood from one moment to the next. It is possible. Go download it. It's on my website for free, healingyouremotions.com/shift to download that free guide. And that's already that first step. What state am I in? Is this a good state to make this decision from? Or do I need to first get into a better feeling state, into a more resourceful state, into a more positive state, into a more passionate state, into a more trusting, state? Do I believe in myself? Is this the space that I want to make this big, big decision from? Number 2, give yourself an out, right? Give yourself the freedom to course correct. Give yourself the freedom to make a decision, go with that decision for a while. And if it looks like, oh, now I have more input, more information, and I believe choosing a different way would actually serve me better, give yourself that freedom to course correct. Or in other words, allow yourself to change your mind. This one is a big one for me because after a while, I felt like I was so ruled by my emotions and how I felt in the moment. And as highly sensitives, we feel so intensely in any particular moment that, I would make a decision and be like, yay, this is awesome. This is great. I can do this. And then hours, maybe a day later, I'd be like, no, this is not it. This is not it. Okay, let me quickly choose the other one and just act like the first one didn't happen. And then I go with the second one and I'm like, okay, this feels good. And then a little while later, I'm like, oh, no, what did I do? No. Can we go back? Can we go back to the other one? And if it was just me involved in this, maybe I could do it. Although after a while, I would even judge myself for being so wishy-washy, for not being able to stick with something, for not being consistent, right? And then if somebody else was involved and you started to feel their, we feel what other people think about us, right? We feel their judgment. And especially if you have insecurities and triggers layered around that, even if they're not thinking, you think that they're thinking that, right? So after a while, you would feel their judgment of like, oh my gosh, they think that I can't stick with anything. They think that I'm just like jumping all around. They think that I can't be trusted because I'm not consistent. I'm one of these like wishy-washy people, right? Have you ever felt like that? Because there was definitely a period in my life where I was more likely to stick with a decision, not because it would be the better decision for me, but because I was too afraid to look like somebody who didn't have it together, somebody who jumps all around, somebody who's inconsistent. And I'll give you a couple of journaling questions, journaling prompts for this step as well, because we do like to deeply process. And it is important to write things down, especially because when you write it down or talk it out, put it on video, whatever you need to do, in order to have it. That way, if you're doubting the decision you already made, at least you can read back over these and say, this is how I got to that decision to begin with. So, some questions to contemplate. What's best for me on my life path right now? What's best for me on my life path right now? Because nobody else is living my life. Nobody else knows the ins and outs of my life, right? I love to tie the spiritual to it too, right? My higher self. My higher self knows where I'm going and it's guiding me there steadily. Nobody else knows truly what is in my heart, what my biggest, deepest fulfillment would be that I am seeking. What's my life about right now, right? If you think about the seven key areas that I always talk about, right? Like finances, career, love, relationship, family, health. What else do we have? Hobbies, spirituality, self-care, right? In these 7 key areas, what is your life about right now? And how is this decision impacting it? Is this decision even important in the moment? If you make this decision, is it congruent with what is in the forefront of your life? What you said you wanted to focus on this week, this month, this year? Is it congruent with that? And is it congruent with your values? Is it congruent with who you said you wanted to be right now? How you said you wanted to show up in your life right now? That one, I feel like, very quickly shows you if you are making that decision for yourself or for somebody else. Yeah, who do I want to be in this next week, next month, next year? And is this decision, the way that I'm making this decision, bringing me closer to that, to who I want to be, to how I want to show up, to how I want to live my life, to where I want to be at the end of this year? And then, of course, this question: is it more important to me to appear consistent, to appear that I have made a wise decision, a good decision to somebody else? Or is it more important for me to be in alignment with my values and my goals and my dreams? That was a big one. Yeah? Oof. Number 3, check your self-worth. This is kind of right on the heels of it, because there was definitely a period in my life where I just wanted to kind of hand off decision making, right? Especially when I felt like it was so hard to decide. I'm sitting on the fence. I'm kind of dipping my toe in either side, and I'm like, you decide for me. You decide. Because it would be easier to forgive you if you make a bad decision than to forgive myself, right? If it turns out badly, but hey, my friend told me, oh, I would choose this way, you should go this way, I could be like, oh, she didn't know all the things that I was facing. She didn't know all the details. And I know she meant well. And she thought that this was the right thing. And it just wasn't that great. And, I can forgive her and I can forgive myself. I just took bad advice. I should have just, decided myself. So much easier than to forgive yourself for a quote unquote bad decision, right? I felt like at that point, when I was still needing some work on my self-worth, I felt paralyzed about that. I felt every decision was just so big. It felt like I was going to mess up my life forever. Can you believe that? In your 20s, making a decision feeling like it's going to mess up your life forever? I suppose there are some decisions that you could make that would have a really long-standing impact, right? But even so, wherever you are, wherever that decision brings you, you can always find the silver lining and begin again, right? Gosh, I can't tell you enough the value of deciding to trust yourself and allowing yourself to make mistakes, allowing yourself to make a bad decision, to be like, man, that was not the smartest decision, but I'm proud of myself for trying it. I'm proud of myself for being courageous. I am proud of myself for going through this hard stuff just to figure out this wasn't for me. That wasn't a wise choice, because you know what? You will learn from it and you will be better for it in the long term. Number 4, be mindful of others when you make this decision, but don't put them higher than yourself. Don't put them as more important than yourself in this decision, especially when this decision is mostly for you, right? If you're the one making the decision, I'm assuming that it's probably going to be for you. I mean, I guess immediately my brain jumps to like, well, if you're deciding to put your mother in a nursing home, it's kind of for her. But I mean, at that point, it really depends. What is for you? What is for her? You could argue about it, but still consider her. Yes, but obviously this decision is probably also about the impact that it's making on you, right? So for that, I wrote down a couple more journaling questions, right? Do I truly have the freedom to make this decision for me, for myself? Or are there so many people involved? Is there such a heavy weight on it that I feel like I can't consider myself in this equation? I mean, if anything, like, am I giving myself at least as much weight in this decision as I'm giving other people? What am I afraid might happen if I decide this way, if I decide that way? What am I afraid might happen? And then how could I communicate my truth about this decision that I want to make? Maybe even before then, if you trust this person, right? Like your significant other. I just had a big, huge, one of the biggest decisions I've made probably in this decade that I just made. And part of me didn't want to bring my partner into this decision because it was kind of me, my time, my money, right? But at the same time, I was like, well, it will impact him. And I want to have the kind of relationship that is open, that we tell each other what's really going on when we're about to make a huge decision like that. And I was really glad. It wasn't the easiest conversation, but it was really rewarding, and it brought us closer rather than him finding out after the fact, which he would have anyway. Rather than him finding out after the fact, I considered him and let him have a voice in it. And luckily, I have a wonderful man who more than anything wants to support me in my dreams. But that's also very important, right? How do you frame that? Oh, that's when it's so amazing when you have a coach who can like role play with you and can really tell you, hey, this is how I would phrase it. This is how you can help him understand the value that this has for you, right? It's like I started framing it as, I've been wanting to go back to school to study psychology, to study psychotherapy. Well, here I have my chance not to go back to school, which will probably take, oh my gosh, I don't know, 2 to 4 years, and I don't know how many thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. But I decided to go into a year-long coaching certification where I learn more about somatic coaching, about integrating everything that I have already learned. So incredible. But it is a big commitment, a big time commitment, a big financial commitment. But I feel like this is what's pulling me. This is what's drawing me. I am turning 44 in 2 more days, and I am so excited about it, right? I'm turning 44 on March 4th, which is incredible. I love that synchronicity. I love that once in a lifetime kind of date. And I was like, this year I want to make spectacular. And somehow through law of attraction, I came upon this certification just a few days ago, and I was like, this is it. This is it. So yes, think about it, write about it, role play if you can with somebody. How can I communicate how important this decision is for me and what it would mean to me to have the support, right? Don't just off the bat expect, oh, he's not going to accept it, she's not going to like it, she's going to be disappointed about it. Let them have their own reaction, their own emotion, but also ask them to consider, to support you in it, because this is incredibly valuable. When you frame it in a way, when you communicate your passion and excitement and it's like, this is my Hail Mary moment. I want to put everything into this year that I felt like I haven't in the last decade, right? It's also shifting a focus a little bit more back to myself rather than on having my kiddo 8 years ago, which has been a lot about my kiddo and a lot actually about building this relationship with my partners. I'm like, I deserve to take this year and put a little bit more emphasis and focus back on myself. So think about that. How can you frame it? And then number 5, we're almost done. And this one's actually an easy one. I think you're really gonna like this one. I always enjoy this one. visualize, right? Give yourself a moment to just sit in stillness, close your eyes, and think about the different paths that you could take, right? The decision. What is it going to look like, feel like? Months down the road, 6 months down the road, a year, a decade? What is it going to look like if I make a decision in this direction, or in that direction, or in that direction, right? Give yourself at least 2 to 5 minutes for each one of the choices, depending on how many there are. Maybe it's just a yes or no. Give yourself that time to really feel into it. Visualize yourself. Where would I be if I decide in this way? What would my life look like? How will it have impacted the people around me in the short term, in the long term? Really allow yourself to feel into it, and then you'll notice, you'll even feel it in your body. What feels tighter? What constricts your throat? What feels like, what puts a smile, right? If you catch yourself smiling in one of the visualizations, you'll realize, oh, okay, this is really important. I really like this. So let's wrap up. I'm so excited. You're still here. I'm so excited. You're really serious about learning, about growing. I love it. Okay, let's wrap this up. The 5 steps that you can take next time you have a big decision to make to really feel, yes, I'm doing this out of integrity. Number 1, what state am I in, right? How am I feeling? Overwhelmed or in the flow, in ease, in trust? Number 2, give yourself the freedom to course correct. You can absolutely make another decision, and another, and another, and another. Number 3, check your self-worth. Do you truly trust yourself to make a wonderful decision? Look at yourself in the mirror and look yourself in the eye and say, I, state your name, I, Christine, trust myself to make the best decision, to make the decision that will really fulfill me, the decision that is just wonderful all around. I trust myself to make a good decision. Number 4, be mindful of others, but don't put them as more important than you, except maybe for very few instances. But most of the time, consider them, but don't give them so much weight. You're the one who lives your life. You're the one who has to wake up in your own shoes every day. They don't have to live your life. They don't have to do your job. They don't have to go to these places that you decide to go to. This is your life, and you get to decide what is best for you. And then number 5, visualize each path, each option, and feel into it. And then once you've made this awesome decision, this is something that I started doing. I'm either journaling about it, or I'm taking an audio or a video of myself saying, yes, I decided this, and I'm so excited about it. And this is going to open all these doors for me and all these opportunities for me. And I'm excited because this and this and this. And I made this decision because that and that and that. So it's great to do it on audio and video because you get that energy across. And sometimes then when you're doubting your decision, you just have to look back on that video and you're like, oh, you feel that energy and you're like, oh, yes, I was in a state of ecstasy. I was in a state of just beautiful passion. I was in a state of feeling like I'm on the right path. I was in a state of being truly connected to everything that I am. And that's the place that I made this decision from. Thank you so much for being here, for walking this path, for accepting your high sensitivity with all its beautiful gifts and few little challenges here and there. That is why we're here. This is why I'm putting together this podcast, this YouTube channel, in order to be here to form this community of highly sensitive beings who are kind to each other and gentle with each other and understanding of each other. Because the more you can understand and accept yourself for exactly who you are, the more your gifts can shine. Thank you so much for being here, for doing the work, for contributing your beauty and your love to this planet. Love you so much, and I'll see you next week.